Hi everyone.
Hi guys.
It's lovely to see you. My God, it's been a long time.
It has been.
I'm sorry.
Been really quite.
In our defence, there's been a lot. We got a new president in the US.
Yeah.
There have been wars. I mean, there's been a lot, hasn't there? There's been a lot going on. And it's for no other reason than the fact that we've met each other and been out for dinner and drinks, and we've had a great time. We just haven't made any content, so we're glad to be finally back with you.
We haven't lost the love.
No, my God,
we haven't
no way.
Lost the love. I mean, and this is sort of what this video is. It's probably going to be nothing more than a rambling chat.
Just a bit of chat about
we
some
said we
smells
wanted to do a video,
like.
And we've had some ideas of new kind of video, more themed videos. But we actually thought what we would do is what we tend to do when we're together, which is chat about some fragrances we've been wearing, we've been enjoying, or just thinking about revisiting.
Yeah, stuff that's on our radar
new
again.
Discoveries, or
my idea of doing top 10 panty droppers apparently is really old-fashioned, and no one does that anymore. So I'm like,
I just wanted to.
I'm
maybe
kidding, by the way.
Keep
those panties on.
I've already taken them off. I mean, you can't see below here, but
no.
It's interesting to see since we've started doing these videos how the kind of scene has changed, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think it has. It's all quicker, isn't it? Everything's a lot more snappy.
It's quicker. It's people who are now doing, I guess, sort of what we were doing, or we have been doing a lot, are now doing it for money as a job.
Yeah.
It's, I mean,
quite a full-time thing for
it's
some
quite
people.
a full-time thing, and I think, I mean, obviously there are some people who are still real fragrance enthusiasts. But yeah, a lot of it's become really commercialized, and I don't know if we've not really talked about this, but one of the reasons that slightly put me off doing videos is when people started sending us things, and then you felt there was a sort of an obligation you feel you have to review it, or your opinion could be in any way skewed, and also just looking back at some of our videos. One of the things I felt a little bit bad about is one of the moments when I felt I'd not been completely honest was when we were sent some fragrances by somebody who'd sent them in the past, and actually I liked them, and I was overcritical on the video because I felt I didn't want to be accused of shilling, and that's
and you actually did like them.
Yeah, and I was actually slightly dishonest about the fragrance, and looking back. I felt that was a ridiculous thing. Anyway,
at least you're honest. You know that everyone is trying their best to kind of make things, have integrity and be direct to our viewers. And actually, it's understandable if you went the other way and thought, well, I don't want to seem like I'm sucking up and
maybe it was good. I was seeing what everyone else was doing.
We want to be honest.
I was seeing what everyone else was doing and thinking, oh, God, that's like I don't want to become that, and actually
absolutely
become dishonest. We've got a few kind of new discoveries here, but the other reason for doing this video was to ask you what we should be trying, what should we should be smelling. I mean,
what's out there now that we're maybe it's not on our radar that we should be looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked when we explored the art and olfaction.
That
nominees.
was fun.
That was really good because there were a lot of fragrances and houses that I don't think we would have otherwise gotten anywhere near.
No. I was smelling one the other day again, the little osmanthus.
Oh yes, yes. Yeah,
I bought a bottle off Etsy for like 3p or something, and it was beautiful. I thought, wow, okay. Anyway, shall we, without further ado, just pick some stuff out?
Get straight into our long rambling chat.
Well, so I think for you and myself included, these are a few things that I've been wearing recently in no particular order, with no particular preference, no particular agenda, and a couple of things I've bought relatively recently, one of which is about a week or two old.
That's exciting.
So I'll start with that one, and it's a simple thing. It's nothing fancy. There's a box. I've unboxed everything because it takes hours otherwise. So this little bad boy.
You were talking about that, yeah.
From Murdock. It's just Vetiver from Murdock. Simple little thing, and as tradition dictates, I'm going to let Dan spray that. But this is a simple clean Vetiver with, I think, a little bit of interest.
So how much did this set you back?
I got that in TK Maxx for like 49 quid, I think, or 45 quid.
Nice.
And I'd been wanting it for a while, but I just never bothered buying it. And then I saw it there, and I thought, okay, I'll have that.
It's
simple, clean.
It's simple, kind of classic, bright, zingy, citrusy, bergamoty.
Yeah.
A little bit kind of like coriandery, seedy, and slightly aromatic.
There's a little herbaceousness going on in the beginning as well.
Basil-y.
Maybe a bit basil-y, yeah. That fresh basil on a nice margarita you might find.
Not massively vetiver-y, actually.
No, the dry down gets more vetiver-y. That's the thing I love about this.
I guess that's a lot of.
And it doesn't quite go down the direction of one of my favourite vetivers, which is from L'Occitane, which is kind of very nutmeggy and actually a little bit like the old Gucci Envy.
Yeah.
But I like the brightness of this, and on a cold day, a couple of spritzes of this I find really invigorating. But then the dry down is interesting enough that it stays with me for a few hours.
Yeah.
So I get the best of both worlds, really.
It's quite
It settles down into a lovely creamy dry down.
It's slightly
still a bit smoky.
It's got that slight dihydromicenar-y barbershop citrus brightness. Quite big barbershop vibe.
Yeah, well,
I would say actually.
I mean, Murdock is a barbershoppy aesthetic, and they do the shaving creams and shower gels and shampoos and things, and just they have a few fragrances. This patchouli,
it's actually
black. I think there's a black tea thing that they do.
There's a kind of a slight kind of sheepery backbone structure to this. I'm already kind of starting to get.
Yeah, there's more to it than
subtly
it seems
kind of mossy.
at first.
But it's quite
mossy,
kind of like,
not too soapy. Just
there's a hint of soapiness, isn't there? And there's definitely a hint of like shaving foamy.
This is the nicest thing. I mean, I might do this tomorrow if I have a nice wet shave.
Yeah.
There's a few spritzes of that afterwards, and it is that German street barbershop vibe
it
that
gets
I
better
quite
the
enjoy.
more you smell it.
And that's just on card. On skin, this thing warms up a lot.
It's quite. I mean, it's more sophisticated than the opening spray and even the bottle.
Oh, good.
Would suggest.
I mean, the bottle is so simple. It looks like something you might buy in a little box set with your shirt and tie from Next or something. Which actually I used to do that. But I love it. I think it's really clean and simple.
It is,
but with enough interest. Definitely not
Beautiful.
the most complex thing in my collection.
Yeah, I don't think it's trying to be.
I like the simplicity.
Yeah.
And I'm a simple man. Very simple in the sense of being challenged, I think, intellectually. But yeah.
I'm just starting to get that little bit of grassy vetiver actually.
When it starts poking through, it's quite nice.
Yeah,
slightly bitter green edge.
Understated, but it also like it doesn't smell like Creed Original Vetiver, but in the same way that Creed Original Vetiver is kind of like fresh, soapy.
That's
Cologne
more like a soapy neroli thing almost.
Yeah, and a slight relation to the what is it, Mugler Cologne as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
which is also good stuff. I quite like that.
Yeah, it is good.
I've got a bottle of that somewhere.
That's nice. I enjoy it.
Check out the patchouli and the black tea from them as well. They're quite interesting.
Especially at that price.
Yeah.
What shall I... Okay, I'm going to talk about one which you can't smell.
I can't smell.
So this is... I'm going to talk about... Look at the state of this bottle. So this is Tabacco Toscana from Santa Maria Novella. Now, as I say, you can't smell it because the bottle is totally empty. And I've got to say, I've got about 4 such empty bottles at home.
Of this?
Yes. So basically, when I first tried this in Italy a few years ago.
It is nice, though, isn't it?
And I bought a bottle, but then my wife completely took it over. And we've gone to Italy almost every year, and every time we buy a bottle of this, and she basically wears it and completely gets through the whole thing, and I hardly get to wear it at all. So.
Okay.
It's certainly a smell I associate with my wife, but I love wearing as well.
It's so beautiful.
And so many tobacco fragrances seem to go in a very sweet direction, a kind of vanilla-y, like tobacco vanilla being a very obvious example. But this is so kind of like bitter. It's kind of gaiac-y, so it's got that slight bacony, burnt hint of birch. It's not,
but a softness as well. There's a softness and a roundedness to that.
I mean, the other thing is,
I smelled it on Kate the other day. Actually, I remember, and
It's £100. It's £100. Oh, it's about £100 for 100 ml. And
very reasonable. I think
it's an ED. Is it? Or yeah, I think it is an EDC. But actually, it performs remarkably well. And I mean, I would estimate it's absolutely jam-packed full of ISOE Super and Cashmere, and I would say it's probably 30%.
Oh, really?
I would say 30% ISOE Super, 5% Cashmere, and it's got loads of that. But it's just it works kind of so well when you get this dry, slightly burnt wood spiced kind of tobacco with
Gorgeous,
kind of like softened out by some slightly sweet musk. But it's just
when they have a full range, don't they? So you can get soaps and hand washes and things. You could bathe in that stuff overall.
But it's
and I love the vibe, the aesthetic
and
of that.
It's completely right. And if you are ever in, especially in Florence, like to go to the Santa Maria Novella boutique, it's really beautiful. But actually, there's one in London.
There's one in Piccadilly, isn't there? Just opposite the Royal Academy of Art.
Yeah, and I'm sure they've got them all over the world. But it's
there's a couple more I want to try.
I don't see people talk about this, but it's one of my absolute favourite tobacco fragrances.
I need to buy a bottle.
It's really,
Tabacco Toscano.
I wish we could spray it and enjoy it more.
I mean, the best, like a plate of food, the best sign of something being loved is when the bottle is empty.
And it's got a bit of a smear on it.
Yeah.
So, yes. Tabacco Toscano by Santa Maria.
Love it.
Love it.
I want to try that. What do I have next, Daniel? That's a question.
Hit me.
That you can't necessarily answer. I'm just, do you know what? I'm going to do this blind. I'm going to put my hand in here and just feel what's there. What's this? The lid has fallen off in battle.
That's a sign of a good thing. Haven't smelt this for ages.
Give that a spritz. So you'll all recognise that bottle, I'm sure.
And it's always
the old vintage Rive Gauche.
And it's always slightly kind of dented, which is, again, sign of a good time.
Yeah, I've had some lovely evenings with that. Yeah. That sounds wrong, and it's the worst possible shaped bottle to make that statement. But on a serious note, I'm very glad that this stuff is still in the world.
Oh, I haven't smelt it recently, though. What does it smell like now?
Now, I mean, to me, it's very fresh and bracing, but then it goes into like full steam herbaceous overload. And the lavender.
Oh, you mean the modern bottles or this bottle?
The modern bottle doesn't exist anymore either.
Is it completely gone?
The little square ones, they've discontinued that as well. So there's, the modern ones, are now sort of collectibles, and this is even more of a collectible now.
It's interesting. Like I said, the Murdock was a bit kind of barbershoppy, but this is textbook.
This is so barbershop. This is straight out of the
Tom Ford Beau de Jour and the likes of that. Owe so much to this.
I mean, I love it, and I think it's one of the glories from. I think it's one of the glories from Tom Ford's days when he was overseeing their perfumes.
Lavender.
It is. I mean, it is the shaving cream thing. It has. There's a lot to it, but fundamentally, it's the association of a beautiful shaving foam, and the cutthroat razors and the hot towels, and I love it.
Yeah.
And this little sort of star anise or something like that.
Yeah. It's like
just working in the middle of it.
That star anise.
Yeah, and I love it. It gives a centre to what's otherwise very round and sort of slightly soapy.
But also, over the last year, I've been playing around a lot, kind of, and trying to make my own fragrances. And one thing you realise is in a fragrance like this is how big a player patchouli is. And you might not think it's a patchouli dominant fragrance, but I'm willing to bet money that it's about 8% patchouli.
It does a lot of heavy lifting, doesn't it?
So much to the what the impression of oak moss basically at the bottom is that kind of leafy, slightly bitter, earthy patchouli quality.
Yeah, it is that earthiness, isn't it? That comes through for me now. Even in the first sort of few minutes after spraying, there's I've got something else which is in a similar vein, but the slightly damp soil.
Yeah.
Fresh, but slightly damp soil accord.
Dihydromicellar again, big in the top.
Yeah, which makes it feel that classic masculine.
Gives it that classic masculine,
doesn't it? But I love that. I mean, I think it's just it's so simple but so well done.
It is beautiful, yeah.
Oud Absolute, I think you can still get now in the modern bottles. I think that's sort of been reissued again.
Completely gone.
I think it is. I mean, I may be wrong.
It must be. So
if any of you know, then feel free.
I would say this has probably got a load of Liril in it as well, which is Lily of the Valley, which is banned, totally banned, has been for years. So that
why have they banned that? That sounds like a lovely thing, lily of the valley.
I don't know.
Love lilies, love valleys.
But it's in absolutely everything from the 70s and the 80s. And because it's beautiful and cheap and long lasting, but now it's banned, and it's been banned for a while. But that's why it makes things like this and green Irish tweed, which is also problematic. But this is
somebody out there is messing up perfumes, and I can understand there's a safety component, so I'm not going to complain too much.
Lovely.
But yeah, what have you got next?
I feel like I'm going to go for something completely different. So this is
what is that?
Animal Cafe from Extra Virgo.
Ah, yes.
So this is one. When I said I've got some notes just in case I forget prices and perfumes and things. When we explored some of the art and old fashion nominees, whenever it was, a year or so ago, this was one which stood out to me. I don't think it won, but it's great. And then I was in Florence last summer, another Italian-rated fragrance, and they have a little boutique, which is the only place they sell it, and it's open only by, like, this marble cap as well.
That's really nice, isn't it?
By invitation only. So I contacted them and said, please can you open? And I went...
It's a problematic business model in London, but it seems to work in Florence.
Yeah. Like you
that's not a shrinking violet.
Fuck me. This is and it's one like when we sampled it, I was like, wow.
Really.
And then I kind of had the sample and I kind of, and this is just, I mean, it's kind of chalk and cheese from the fragrances we've smelled so far.
Yeah, this is. I'd say this is back into our sort of more comfortable realms of big, punchy,
it's big and bold
beast.
So it's coffee. Oud. I mean, there's loads of clove.
That's a serious contender, isn't it?
Yeah, loads of clove. And then latterly it becomes kind of slightly animalic, not like offensively so, but it's just, for me,
it's very sexy,
it's not my only coffee fragrance that I'm going to talk about today, but it's my favourite. Like, I do like a coffee fragrance, but I feel coffee is done badly so often, and this is just the best coffee fragrance I've ever...
Do you know, I was just thinking something there. If you were smelling a load of coffee-based fragrances, would they still give you coffee beans to smell?
Oh, I don't know.
Between the coffee fragrances?
Yeah.
Because that would confuse me.
Maybe they give you a bergamot to...
A burger? I'd love a burger.
A burger. But this is... Let me just check. This is not...
Oh, it's so good.
Cheap. How much does it cost? Did I write it down?
£5 million.
No, I think... No, I didn't write it down. But it's something like 240 euros for 50 ml, which is not... Did I write it down? No. Excellent. So it's not a cheap fragrance. And, I mean, I've got to be honest, I've not bought... My buying of fragrances has slowed down in the last year or so, and I've not bought anything this expensive. But this really stood out as being...
Yeah, I mean, that's a really special
It starts, and when I wore it quite a lot over Christmas, actually, as a kind of Christmassy fragrance. But I have to say, the first time I wore it was when I was in Florence, and it was 33 degrees.
Ouch, what was that like?
It was actually amazing.
I mean, it is beautiful as well. It's beastly,
so
but it's beautiful.
The way I've described it, it might sound big, bold, and brash, and it is big, but there's a certain kind of elegance and...
well, it's really well put together. It's not it's not rough around the edges.
I mean, it's the kind of smell that really excites me and
stunning, absolutely beautiful. And coffee fragrances, I think, like you were saying earlier with the tobacco, I think they're quite hard to do. I don't like it when they go in too much of a sweet, syrupy direction.
I was just going to say exactly that. Actually, that's got a link with this last fragrance. That both of them have this kind of dry, slightly burnt quality.
Yeah.
Where do you think both coffee and tobacco can be taken into a really sweet, overly gourmand? Even though this is kind of coffee, clove with a bit of cinnamon, it's in a funny way not so gourmand.
It's the bitterness of the coffee bean, isn't it, that comes through without it smelling like an espresso. I don't think it smells. It's much more interesting than that.
Smells. It reminds me, and I think I said this when we talked about it with I've got a coffee roastery near me, and they always have these a little kind of like chimneys piping out the smell of where they're kind of roasting beans, and it's just the most.
I would love that.
Amazing smell, and it reminds me a little bit of that.
I've got a Costa coffee very near me. and there's no smell that comes out, but I can see people in there drinking coffee, and it's pretty depressing. But it's there, you know.
Good. It's there just in case.
I like good coffee from Costa if it's made well. That's really beautiful.
I really love it.
I'm a huge fan of that. I think I need to get myself a bottle of that. What's next? So I'm sort of going in blind and putting my hand in and hoping what comes out.
Good rule for life.
Oh, here we are.
What is that?
This is scent of the day. This is L from Arquiste.
Yes.
Now, I mean, give that a spritz. I'll be interested to see what you think on first spray of this.
I mean,
what references you get.
This before. This is interesting because it might.
It's also my favourite atomizer in my collection.
Oh yeah, can I just do a bit?
Isn't that nice?
That's lovely. Should we look at the bottle, because that's quite a beautiful thing. I thought you were about to smash it over my head and kill me, because
I would never do that. I would never waste that much perfume.
I love that a lot. First reference, I actually think Rien by Italy and a bit of Curious.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, I get the Curious. I hadn't thought about Rien before.
Actually, the first thing that came to my head was Rien. Quite aldehydic, bright with a hint of incense. But then definitely...
Do you have the little urinal cakes, the sort of lavatory thing?
Yeah. But then,
I mean, I have to wait for this to dry down a bit before I go out in public.
I should get this.
Yeah. Oh. Well, this is interesting because this was first made in 2016. And
Who is it? Do you know?
I can't remember the perfumer. A Spanish perfumer, I think.
So good.
Now the trouble
How much does this cost? Can you still buy it?
Well, the stuff that you can buy now, I've seen, is called L 2024. So I think it's been remade or reimagined. And I don't know if you can still get the original. I need to check it out.
That's good. I mean, I do find it like a slightly more kind of incensey. Do you not get that kind of incensey? Like also like maybe a hint of maybe like juniper or something else.
There's much more going on in the top, sort of herbaceously, than something like Kouros.
Yeah.
I mean, Kouros, we've smelled the vintage stuff, haven't we? Yeah. And that was like rotting cheese on a dead body with a bit of urine. I mean, it was punchy. This is still for a modern taste.
But it does feel like there's something. It doesn't just feel like Kouros or even Yam.
I think it's like Kouros and Antaeus if they kind of got together and had a little baby.
There's quite a lot of kind of like freshly shaved wood. I mean, basically, I feel there are some really, really well judged woody ambers working in there really well to give it some brightness and fizz. I feel there's quite a lot of brightness and fizz that you don't necessarily get from Kouros.
No, Kouros can get quite heavy quite quickly. Whereas this, I think this has a lot of... There's a lot of sheen to it, isn't there? Maybe the aldehydes as well, just throwing out some sort of big balls of light. But I love it, and I love the fact that it does soften and go into a beautiful barbershop. I mean, there's a connection here with all of these.
Fizz and energy.
There's a nice barbershop quality to it, which I've been enjoying a lot recently.
I really like that.
It's a good one,
It's interesting because I remember seeing...
And what a beautiful bottle.
I remember seeing it in Jovoy about a year ago, heavily reduced. So I wonder if they were getting rid of it.
Maybe. Well, if you see it, get hold of it.
That's really good. Oh, I love it.
If I see some more, I'll get you some.
That's it. I could really see myself wearing that a lot.
Isn't that good?
Love it. I mean, it's interesting you said that because I was going to go for something very similar, which is Bete
I need to smell that again.
Eris Parfum, which is Antoine Lee.
Also, beautiful bottle, very
simple,
very
elegant.
Retro sort of vibes there as well.
I mean, the whole vibe is a kind of retro across the whole.
Even the atomizer has a retro vibe.
Let me see. So this is. It's not cheap. It's 50ml X-ray and it's 150 smackaroonies.
Oh, so good.
Pounds.
Okay, now that you're seriously into your sort of raw materials as well, and you are making stuff, what is the kind of the paint thing I get? And there's a couple of Anazoricina things I love as well. Like that fresh paint vibe, I love.
I don't get the. That's weird that you kind of get paint.
It's an association from somewhere down the line, and I can't think where, but
maybe there's something terpenic, like
some sort of spirit or something like that would be used in painting or decorating that I love and associate
it's
with.
so interesting smelling it after L, because in my mind I'd had something very similar, but this feels a little bit softer, a little bit more citrusy. So hints of petitgrain.
They're in the same family, aren't they? They're in the same sort of ballpark.
But I think they kind of dry down very similar, and I feel the dry down to this is real. It really reminds me of Kouros, and talking about materials and aroma chemicals. No, Animalis, which is a base which
really
featured enormously in Kouros, which is that kind of like funky, civetty, animalic backbone, is in here. And a lot of the fragrances that Atelier did for Eris have this very lovely kind of dry spice like base, which he kind of puts into all of them. And I think
Animalis, I need to smell on its own again and remind myself.
Oh, it's amazing. It's almost a complete fragrance.
This has got. I'm getting like hints of rhubarb or something creeping in there.
Yeah,
like some sort of juicy rhubarb crumble.
Yeah.
Toasted on the top. Just little bursts of like bright citrusy.
I reckon that's styrolyl acetate that's probably in that, which is that kind of rhubarby, but also with a hint of green, twangy.
It's green, There's something twangy. There's something quite sort of tart to that, which I love. And it's an animalic beast underneath as well, so you're getting the best. You're getting the best of both worlds.
Both of those, L and this, are really. You would describe them essentially, I think, as animalic fragrances. Yeah, there's so much bright and light.
Sort of animalic fougères, aren't they?
Yeah,
in a sense.
Very well put together.
So I don't know this house really very well at all.
We did know.
We did, but I mean, I need to wear them. I've not sort of worn them and lived with them.
But Antoine Lee is someone who
did Rive, of course.
Yeah, who's you kind of keep coming back to. And
he's a great perfumer. He's a great perfumer.
Lovely.
That's incredible.
Right, what we got next?
Huge fan. Next on the menu, I can feel something quite square here. I don't know what that is. Something from the House of Rogue. There's a theme with all of these, isn't there? I basically want to go back in time. So, I mean, you've smelled that before, I'm sure. This is another very vintage fougère. I get big lavender, herbaceous components, maybe some basil, some juniper.
Yes,
slug of oak moss and tobacco.
It's really, it's really up there with your Rive Gauche.
Yeah.
But super elegant, super. Yeah, it does feel, because obviously there's a nod to your, even your brutes and
absolutely.
Your things
I'm a really unapologetic nod in that direction.
But it is, and there's lots of kind of aromaticness going on in the middle, isn't there? Kind of coriander seed.
This reminds me a little bit
of wormwoody,
of Platinum Egoist. It's not the same smell, but that same metallic. It's like unapologetic barbershop that says, "This is what a man smells like."
I mean, real actually connection to Rive Gauche. A little bit more bitterness, a little bit more aromatic.
Yeah.
But still shaving foam vibes.
But it's very serious. I don't find this a playful thing. This is quite a serious, like...
No. It is.
I'm off to Wall Street to make some big deals.
Yeah, it's leather armchair and like briefcase. But I don't know. There is there's a little musky sweetness.
There's a hint of something like I get a little bit of something that I view as a sort of slight red berry sweetness. Just like there's a little hint of a black currant and a red berry, like a raspberry or something. Tiny little hint.
Yeah.
In the same way that you get that in Jubilation 25.
Yeah.
That slight berry thing. It's not sweet necessarily, but
it's
just enough to kind of
a little bit
to feel it there.
I've not smelt that before, but now there is a little bit of sweetness. That's good, actually, isn't it?
Just a hint. I love this house. I mean, actually, this week, maybe when I get back later, I need to order myself another bottle of Chypre Siam and of there are two. There's an Absolute de Mousse and there's Mousse Illuminé as well.
I've not tried the Absolute. In a way,
and I want to pick them up because I've had such lovely pleasure.
A little bit of white floral quality coming through now.
Yeah, maybe
like a little hint of jasmine. In some ways, maybe a little bit easier to wear than Chypre Siam and Mousse Illuminé.
Yeah,
which are big and
they're very much time travel back to like the turn of the century.
Like a little white floral jasmine-y, slight sweetness. I mean, I haven't worn this on skin.
It's poking its head through, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
It's beautiful.
And it dries down beautifully. It's so soapy and clean, soft. I think it's a real masterpiece, and it's unapologetically vintage and unapologetically tribute. It's in tribute to those perfumes.
Yeah, but
this is not an original perfume in the sense of I've never smelled that before in my life. Cutting edge.
But it's a beautiful example of it, isn't it?
And these things aren't made very much anymore. This style of perfumery. Lovely. So I love it. Yeah.
Lovely.
We smell good.
Something similar but different, but not and yet.
Similar but not, but yes. But same.
So it's Vin Sulfureux by Le Bain Gerbois, which is a reasonably new purchase for me. I don't think you've smelled it.
I can't remember smelling this yet.
I do like these bottles, big fat chunky bottles.
That's nice, isn't it?
So I bought this quite recently. I'll give you a little bit of a sniff. Who is it? It's Dorothée Pio, who did... she's done several fragrances for Amouage, but she also did Chambre Noire.
Oh, I love that,
Olfactive Studio, which is one...
I almost wore that the other day, and I didn't, but I took it with me to work. Thank you.
Anyway, see what you think. I mean, I've owned this and worn this and enjoyed it. It's one I've smelt in shops a couple of times. And then, I mean, I'll just say, it basically, this costs €210 for 100ml, but I got it brand new in a box for 30 quid.
Wow. You've done well there.
It was a seller I follow on eBay and followed for a while.
Oh, that's lovely. That's really beautiful.
There's a sort of connection to the fragrances we've been talking about a little bit, but...
Yeah. Kind of, I get like a very mild sort of spearmint green.
Yep.
Not a huge amount, but just a little...
So
it's actually really, really beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, and when you wear it, it feels different. So I would say, essentially, I find this an amber fragrance, but it's got there's a lot of aldehydes and incense, but there's also a lot of kind of rosemary and it's a lot of herbaceous kind of notes, a lot of green herbaceous notes.
It's very friendly.
It's very friendly, and it's kind of fizzy and soft and slightly sweet and ambery, but also aromatic. And although there's a sweet kind of soft round quality, there's also a fresh, invigorating aromatic and a fizzy, bright, zesty, energetic.
I would find that really addictive. Yeah, I'll get a big sort of orange, oily.
But what you're not getting
is slight sweetness, but not too sweet at all.
There's also there's a beach bally, labdanum-y, rubbery quality to the amber as well.
But it's so subtle, isn't it? It's such a subtle mix of things.
And some of you're not getting it on the card, but yet that ambery note sometimes leans towards a clean version of like amber fetiche. Without none of the dirtiness. There's zero dirtiness in this, but that slightly classic rubbery amber.
Yeah.
But yeah, really fizzy and uplifting.
It's just very inviting. I keep going back and smelling different things.
There's quite a lot going on. It's kind of.
I need to try that on skin. I mean, I'd be really, really curious.
And it feels it's similar to your L, that it's very, very, very classic.
Yeah.
There's something just a bit modern.
There's something more to this than first meets the nose.
And there's some woody ambers. There's definitely some imbroxen in there that's creating a feeling of kind of space and creamy ambery underpinning, but kind of judiciously used without... I mean, you never wear this and think, oh, this is a woody amber fragrance. But I think it's just helping. It's helping in the middle.
It's very much sort of creamy, soft, inviting. It's green, but then I also almost do get a slight hint of something, not necessarily animalic, but something a little bit more funky lurking in the background.
Maybe that's just the kind
just the tiniest hint of something wanting to come through.
Maybe that's just the labdanum and the amber.
Yeah.
Which it has a slight...
Because labdanum can smell a little bit dead.
Almost like a tiny bit kind of like bacony kind of...
Oh, that's really good.
But
I don't know this house at all.
Sometimes I get real massive waxy candles as well.
How does it work on skin? How does it...
Well, that's. I mean,
does it
I
sort
think,
of take
I
you on a
think
journey?
the amber massively, but I think the amber is more present on skin, and that's why I felt like on skin, if I had to narrow it down to one thing, I would say amber. But you're probably not really getting amber at the moment.
No. At the moment, I'm just getting the green, sweet, creamy.
The kind of aromatic, slightly smooth.
God, that's really, really beautiful.
Smells incredibly French, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. Totally. I mean, this is the kind of thing I'd imagine on a nice elderly gentleman sitting in a garden.
If Galen could do, if Galen really
I'd be happy with that.
It's the best thing ever.
Oh, really good. Yeah, and I wouldn't have necessarily thought that would be your kind of cup of tea. But
no,
actually,
I think, and also it's one. I remember I went into like Liberty or something like that, and I tried, whatever as you do, like 25, like 35 fragrances, and blah, 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 and this was just one which kind of stuck in my head.
Yeah,
that's it's good, but it's not 210 euros for 100 ml, but it's the one you'd find it discounted online for quite a bit less. And there was somebody on eBay who had a load of these. Maybe he just robbed someone.
Send me a link to him because I might pick one up if he's still got some left. A lovely spring fragrance, I would have thought.
Totally, yeah.
Inviting, friendly, very
it's,
optimistic.
You can imagine, so it's supposed to be these like spa baths in this amazing house.
Yeah.
They've kind of got a picture of the front, the spa front, in Paris.
It's really nice.
And you can imagine, going into a bath with essential oils and the sulphurousness of spring water, kind of organic.
And feeling at one with the world.
Yeah. But I enjoy
it. Beautiful. Thanks, mate. That's a really pleasant surprise. I'm sort of trying to feel what's a bottle and what's a... Okay, something...
What's the bottom? What else have you got in? Banana?
I have no bananas here this time because I'd slip on them. Now, I don't know if I've shown you this yet.
Oh my gosh!
How vintage is that?
I remember buying this.
Yeah.
When I was about to go to work in America for like a month.
Yeah.
And I bought this in the airport. Oh my gosh, this is going to be massive nostalgia.
This is the only reason I bought this. I bought this in Whitstable, by the way.
When did I buy it?
And it was pure nostalgia all the way for me.
Wait, I can't remember when it came out. I'm trying to think. 15, 16 years ago.
Well, yeah. I mean, my trip with this was 2003-4 when I first went to the RCM, and I wore this quite a lot in my first year. And there was something about it I really enjoyed.
Yeah. So at the time, I nearly bought Grey Vetiver by Tom Ford, but bought this.
That's great stuff as well.
Yeah, God, massive vintage.
It kind of smells the same to me as it did.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what sort of journey it's been on, and I'm sure it has been through some changes, but it took me straight back to...
When did it come out? Because I feel like I'm transported, even though I bought it around like...
I can't look it up because my phone's around the corner charging.
It transported me back to...
It was relatively new when I bought it, and that was about 2003 or 4-ish.
Yeah, I think. But it's got that kind of slightly appley, aquatic, citrusy, obviously.
The original Issy, of course, was the big yuzu thing. So I think they've tried to take it in a slightly different direction, something a bit more herbaceous rather than out and out kind citrus.
Like subtle, suggestion of incense without it being an incensey fragrance.
Yeah, I have to say, I think it's really well done. I find it really round. I find it really inviting.
That's so far. I remember buying that bottle.
Of all of these, I find this, and along with what do we just smell? What's its actual name?
Yeah, it's Bain Sucreux.
Bain Sucreux. So I find this similar to that, very friendly.
Oh yes, totally.
I think that's a friendly fragrance. I remember sitting in a room learning Prokofiev violin sonata, the one that's also a flute sonata.
It's totally,
that. And on skin, I have to say, on me, it's really beautiful. It softens, it goes slightly soapy.
It's really,
and works in spring, works in autumn and winter as well, because it's just a very uplifting. But it's not uplifting in the sense of a brash aquatic, or a toilet cleaner citrus. It's got the herbaceous interest, which is why I sort of fell in love with it. Yeah, I bought that in Whitstable in the summer. But I just saw it in a shop, and I thought, I think I'm going to get that because I'm in Whitstable and I've had lots of alcohol.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can. It's a real ISOE Super, Hedione and Broxin. You can see those trio probably make up 60% of this, and Galaxolide. And so it's the same as a lot of other things. I don't know, but somehow it's just about imbalance. I'm not finding
it works together.
I'm not getting the slight offensiveness of Sauvage or something.
No, I think it's just all quite subtly done, and it's a simple but sort of individual fragrance as well.
Oh God,
if I smell that, if you put that under my nose in a shop, I could tell you precisely what that was.
Yeah,
in a way that I couldn't for lots of other fragrances. Maybe that's my own failing, my own nose, but I think it still had an individuality at a time when it was becoming becoming more of a premium.
It's different. I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's not a huge amount of individuality. I mean, I guess that's on one hand,
just enough.
It's never become, I don't think, a hugely popular fragrance, but on the other hand, it has been, continued to be produced.
They still do it. Yeah, I don't think this ever went out. Maybe it disappeared for a while in terms of being sort of produced less. But
it's not going to offend anyone, is it? I mean, let's be honest. But
simple, little, clean, legible sort of perfume.
And
I like the bottle.
From the past.
I think
the
bottle's
very obvious. Actually, the bottle almost looks like before its time. It looks like a 90s bottle, I would say.
Absolutely.
But then I guess it's
got the name on there
because it's maybe
of the composer.
Slightly, harkening back to the original, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it must have been about a 10-year gap then from the original.
Yeah, the original was mid-90s, wasn't it?
kind
Sometime.
of like 95. I mean, that was a real
It was getting on for 10 years.
What shall I do next? Okay.
Oh, that's a big brute of a bottle.
Jovoy, Jeux, sont faits, which sort of means the game is afoot. This is my second bottle of this. It's one I get through quite a lot. How much did it cost? £160 for 100ml, which is really not
pretty reasonable, isn't it?
That bad. And let me just check. So what's her name? Amélie Bourgeois, she did most of the fragrances for Mendito Rosa.
Oh,
those bottles with those crazy lids. And this is a sort of boozy amber, but Angelica is a big player in this, I would say. It's almost like one of the most Angelica dominant fragrances, like that bitter, real bitter, that offsets the booze. And it really, I mean, I know obviously the name plants an idea in your mind, but it really, you can imagine like a gambling, cigars and booze and.
But the Angelica already starts to subside to the cognac and the
amber.
The leather,
and the leather,
and the slight sweetness, but again, not too much.
I
love the booziness of that.
I love the booze. I'm surprised it's a very, I find it very kind of wearable. It's a real kind of like winter evening and or even autumnal kind of scent. I'm surprised people don't talk about it more, because I would. It's quite an accessible scent. It's one actually people.
Yeah.
I don't care. It must be about compliments, but people care. People compliment me quite a lot when they wear it. It's quite a popular fragrance. Maybe it's just the Angelica which stop it from being a really popular fragrance. But I actually love.
But that's what gives it the interest as well. That initial sort of slightly bitter edge.
Yeah.
I think that really works.
And it makes you think.
It's very inviting.
I mean, when I like cocktails, I like a Negroni. I like something which is really, really kind of bitter, or a martini. And that's got, even though it's not orangey, some of the quality of a Negroni. I think, possibly, or maybe.
Yeah, I can imagine the peel, the sort of. It's the oil and the slight bitterness, but there's a sweetness lurking behind it, and that the juice is sweet, but the outside oil has that bitter edge.
I really love it.
That's so good.
And it's one. I've gotten through. Already been through 100ml, and that's another one. And it's the kind of thing. I feel I always want it, and whenever it starts to get cooler, I will always be.
I think that's a beautiful fragrance. That must be one of the best in their collection. I've not smelled all of them, but
I know it's the only one I own from the collection. It's definitely one I enjoy a lot.
I'll get some of that as well. Right, what's next?
I don't know.
What do we have? Oh, here's a long, big.
I don't know how many we've got, by the way.
No, I don't know. I can't remember how many. So, this is one of a few bottles of these I've got. So this is Borneo, 1834, from Serge Lutens, and I've got Queer Moresque and Fumerie Tourc and.
Queer Moresque is amazing.
There's another one I can't remember which one it is, but
I haven't got any of these ones. There's something.
This is just very inviting.
It looks like it should be some kind of sexual tool.
Yeah, no, and I have to say, the doctor in A&E was very disappointed in me when I came in with that up my butt. Out and out, for me anyway, but I don't want to put words in your mouth, but out and out chocolate patchouli.
It's so elegant, isn't it? Go.
Sort of real cocoa.
Dry, dusty cocoa, like almost no hint of sweetness.
No, it's all taken care of by the patchouli
it fits into
the other
into our category of Tabacco Toscana and
yeah,
Animal
absolutely.
Cafe. This is our non-gourmand.
Yeah. And for a gourmand lover, I think you would enjoy this very much.
Yeah, and whenever because you've worn it and sprayed it, and
I wore it last week one day, and it was beautiful. It was a cold day.
I mean,
and that just warmed me up beautifully.
I get coffee vibes as well.
Yeah.
Especially like freshly roasted coffee.
Oh, definitely, definitely coffee vibes.
Dry, dusty patchouli.
I love patchouli. I've become obsessed recently with patchouli again.
There's a lovely kind of soft...
My Perfume and Aroma patchouli is a little bit in that ballpark.
I mean, that's loads and loads of patchouli.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with this is it was part of the old range where you'd find things like Chergui, and then that was discontinued, and then they were brought back in these bottles, and then I think discontinued again, and now available again. But I think they're about 275 quid now.
Yeah, they're
which is kind of crazy.
Stupid money.
But if you can find, I mean, you can by all means spend that if you want. But if you can find one at a good price, and I got these in Harrods on sale.
Oh, really?
And I went in, and the guy there said already they were down from about 225 at the time, and then the guy said they on the labels they said like 75, and I thought that's quite a good reduction. And then he said, I'll give you them for 50. So I bought 3 and
bit of clove
4
as well. I mean, it's also it's interesting because I'm sure, especially now I'm kind of making things a little bit more. What's in that bottle? I would be surprised if it's as much as £1.50. I would really. I don't think it'll be. I think it'll be quite a lot less than that.
This is the ridiculous thing, isn't it, in the world of perfumery today?
That's really beautiful. I get. There is a definite relation to that Animal Cafe.
Yeah,
there's a nice.
I get a bit of licorice coming through there as well.
I get hints of wisps of clove as well.
Yeah,
wisps of coffee. Nice.
And it's such a feel-good fragrance. Some of these are for like barbershoppy, fresh, zingy vibes. Some of these, for me, this is a winter warmer, and I'd put this on again in the evening, and just feel like I'm being enveloped in a blanket of sweetness, but not sickly sweetness. Actually, not sweet at all, really, but
no,
warming, comforting vibes.
There's definitely quite a lot of musk softening it, but it's not. It never goes sweet.
No.
Big again.
Do you get the licorice if you put or sort of stuck your nose in a tin of Pontefract cakes or something?
Something like yeah, it's really lovely. I mean, I would say, if I was to guess, I would say 10% patchouli, and I reckon it's like 30% musk.
Yeah.
I reckon there's a lot of musk really softening and beautiful.
Rounds off all the edges, doesn't it?
Yeah. Lovely. Right. Well, this is the weird, our weirdest video ever. It's going to be the most gourmand video ever because here's another one.
Oh yes.
So this is, as
Great
I
stuff.
said, I had another coffee one, and I don't know if I've spoken about this fragrance. This is one I've owned for ages, and I've got to say, basically what I did is, so you can buy refills. So this bottle is, how much is it? 225 quid for 50 ml, which is absolutely fucking insane. It's definitely not worth that money. But I bought a refill, and you can sometimes find the refills. So they do 50 ml refills, and I got it for about 100. And then I found somebody on a group selling an empty bottle.
Oh,
for like
perfect.
a tenner. So I got that. Anyway.
Win-win.
So when this is almost run out. I've been lucky to spend a fair bit. I've been to the Middle East about 7 or 8 times, and one of the fragrances I love in the Middle East is cardamom coffee, which you kind of smell in the streets. And this is a really, really beautiful example of this.
So good. I mean, it really is that cardamom burst, isn't it?
And I think nutmeg is helping give the impression of cardamom as well.
Yeah. Do you know too much nutmeg? Not in this.
Kills you.
Can kill you. I didn't know that. I was making a lasagna once, and I included some nutmeg.
And nearly killed yourself.
Yeah. I'm not even here. Oh, that's so good. And I mean, not to say this is the same thing, but this is like a much, much, much better, rounded, smooth version of something like Amen.
Yeah, Amen. Yeah. It's a definite relationship.
Oh yeah, Amen. It's not Amen, is it? Amen.
And I saw it. Someone published a GCMS of this.
Dark and treacly
and And I think this is 40% ISOE Super.
40%?
Yeah. So it's 40% ISOE Super and a fair bit of musk.
What else goes in there then to make it work?
I mean,
what makes that so smooth?
Loads of patchouli, about 10% of patchouli.
That's a big slug, isn't it?
Yeah. What's the musk? I think it's like tetralide or something like that, or tonalide, which is a kind of quite a like fougere musk. And I think coumarin. I would say there's a fair bit of coumarin. Cashmerein as well. So I mean,
but done well.
But beautiful. I mean, it's a really beautiful fragrance. It's Calais Becker.
Yeah, he's a great. Isn't he?
Who's done all the like Killian, like pretty much. But yes, it's tricky because I love it. I think it's a beautiful composition. It's what comes in this bottle is worth almost nothing. I would say there's probably there's patchouli in it, but there's very 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 few naturals. But I love it. I mean, you'd be absolutely insane to pay 225 quid for 50 ml.
Yeah, it's what your nose says, isn't it? When your nose tells you.
But I really love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I love that.
Elegant, really, really kind of great composition.
They do some other things that I really have enjoyed as well, I have to say. Like that vodka on the rocks, I really enjoy. And what was another one I tried? A lavender thing. What was it? Straight to Heaven or one of those?
Oh yeah.
Stevie Wonder wore it, and he walked behind me one day, and I smelt it. I thought, oh, that's really good. I wonder who that is.
Stevie Wonder.
And it was Stevie Wonder in Whole Foods in High Street, Kent. He just walked right behind me,
and he was
there was this amazing smell. Yeah.
Did you ask him, or you just knew it?
No, I recognised the smell.
And then you recognised Stevie Wonder.
And I recognised it, but I'd managed to find out somewhere, having done some research, that that's his perfume, and I smelled it in a store, and I said, yeah, that's the exact smell that I smelled that day. Lavender, beautiful lavender. That's really good. Right, so let's go to another part of the world, and let's take you on a journey.
Milton Keynes?
No, I went there once. I found it very strange. Here we go. Mandarava.
Oh.
From our lovely friend Prin Lomros. Look at the colour of that.
That bottle, you can't buy that anymore.
That is dark. You can't buy this anymore. You can only buy the small 30ml bottles. I mean, I've hardly worn anything in there because I know it's precious juice. But this takes me. This is far more.
It's the same bottle as the when Eris Ledore did Russian leather of that
really?
generation. Those same bottles.
I think there's a good proportion more sort of like this exotic and naturals in here.
Oh, this is.
It's like every floral you can throw at it, isn't it? Really.
It's interesting, after smelling a few of the recent, of the last few things we talked about, you're automatically hit by just this. It's like walking into a jungle of flowers.
Yeah. Because we've been very much in the Western world of perfumery here, haven't we, for a while?
And just beautiful. And I say, intoxicated, I love. But when you spray that, you will not get that in Western perfumery. You cannot experience that.
That takes me to a temple somewhere in Burma.
Oh, it's so. I remember smelling it. The more recent iteration about. 2 years ago, and it didn't seem to smell quite like this. It was much more incensey.
Yeah, I found that with a few of his things that I prefer the older bottles. I find this so opulent to a ridiculous degree.
It's it's almost a total like some of these fragrances you think like, oh, this would be a nice one to go out and wear. This is just a total olfactory experience.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
this is one for sitting at home and not even going out to sit home crying into your bowl of cornflakes.
That's really.
I might wear that tomorrow. The Champaca for me does a lot of.
It's those sweet
initial
white florals.
Bolstering.
It's really, and there's obviously some like jasmine and some other beautiful white.
And then something very dry underneath it, like a slight sort of dry tobacco underneath it all.
Yeah.
But I think he's a real genius. I have to say. I know he's prolific and he does so much. He does so much in terms of releasing new things, but I think his mind is wonderful.
It's total exoticism.
Yeah.
If you want escapism in fragrance, if you want to be transported,
that's the thing to do.
That is incredible.
Isn't that good?
That is really.
Mandarava.
Of all the things we've smelt so far.
that just takes me away from not even from London, but from the UK and from Europe. I sort of want to sit in a room and be alone with my thoughts when I wear it.
I can't remember how.
Isn't that good?
Yeah, it's really it's almost.
But if you can find the older bottles, worth doing it. But still, the new stuff is fantastic. I mean, it's still wonderful perfume. But that involves doing a bit of exploration online, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if Bloom still does them.
They do still sell it, but as I say, I'll have to revisit the more recent iteration. But because the last time I saw it was just in the shop, and it's really the more and more time I spend with fragrances, the less I enjoy sampling things in a shop.
Yeah.
But
it's too crowded, isn't it? There's too much extra sensory stimulation going on.
Leave that with the bottle so I can I might come back to it. I'm going to stay in a similar ballpark, and this is a fragrance I wore a lot a while ago, and haven't worn it for a while, but I wore it a lot on one day recently for a friend's funeral, one of our dear friends that we went to. So this is Oud Maximus, the original one by Bortnikoff. So some of you in the fragrance community know, some of you are watching our friend Ben Thapper, who is a musician like us, who went to the Royal College of Music with me.
Guy.
He's a tenor, and he's also a big, huge, massive fragrance enthusiast. Died recently, and he had a memorial service, which is one of the most extraordinary,
epic, wasn't it?
One of the most extraordinary days of my life, actually.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And one of the things is he loved loud music, and there was possibly the loudest singing you've ever heard in your life. He loved flamboyant dress, and there were some really flamboyant outfits, and he loved big bold fragrances. So I wore about 28 sprays of this.
He really would have loved it.
And you know,
this is just the best.
When we did a while ago, we did our top oud fragrances, and I in particular put this as my top, and I stand by this, and especially wearing it all day as I did then. It's just, of all the things from Eris and Ensar Oud, this is just kind of masterful, because yes, you get a big dose of kind of several real ouds, but it's the balance is just spectacular of
so well put together.
Juicy, lush and sweet citruses, of little hints of spices like cardamom and nutmeg, and then it's just all wound up in this lovely sweet musk. Yeah, which is. And there's obviously, maybe not obviously, but there's rose and jasmine, and the kind of sweetness and depth of those is just working perfectly with the oud.
It's incredible. And all of those spices are like they're sort of dancing around energetically on top.
But it's
not heavy in any way. It's
just the notes I've described.
So bracing.
I'm sure you could find 100 fragrances with those notes, but I've not. But they're just the balance.
That's like an out of body experience to smell that.
It really is, and it was
absolutely incredible.
I just thought, and when I wore it on that day, which is a really a special and an extraordinary day anyway, but it really was kind of heightened by wearing this all day. And
I went quite conventional. I wore Juniper Sling by Penhaligon's because he was a huge gin lover.
As well, yeah.
But I remember getting there, and I had some other stuff as well, but I remember getting there and I smelt down and I thought, I've underdone it on the perfume. But that is the kind of thing that you want in perfumery these days, that boldness and that risk taking.
But it's like the Mandarava, it's suddenly taken you to like a different, as you say, not just a different country, but like a different.
It's a different world.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. I mean,
and a beautiful bottle as well. I mean, the amount I have to say, even to take something like this, the bottle is cool and funky and everything, but it comes in a really cheap old cardboard box that gets damaged if you breathe on it. It's lovely to see like that much effort and attention going into like a beautiful bottle.
And this is, how much is it? So it's $350 for 50 ml, which is, it's a lot of money, but a lot goes into your bottle. Whereas the Intoxicated, I would say the contents of that is £2. This, at least, you are getting.
You're getting a high proportion
You're getting
of
your
great
rose,
naturals,
your jasmine, your ouds. You are getting expensive things which you will not encounter in Western perfumery.
Yeah, and you can smell the difference. I know people say you get what you pay for, but you really do. And I'm not talking about necessarily liking something. We all like something that may have very cheap ingredients, and I love things that have very cheap
But also,
ingredients.
you could spend double
You
that.
can smell the quality.
You would spend double that on a Roger Doff fragrance and not get any of the naturals.
Yeah. Well, you can spend double that on a meal in the Fat Duck, which I really want to go to. But
you could do that as well. I'm not saying it's not
might
one or the
do
other.
the same.
But I think some of the luxury brands like Roger Dove, if it says Oud on it, you're not getting Oud. So at least with Bortnikoff, you are getting what you signed up for.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
God, and I mean, do they still do that?
Yes, well, I haven't, but he's done several iterations, and he is still selling it. But I haven't smelled, because he did like this is the very, very original one, and then he did one for 2019, one for like 22 as well.
Oh yes.
So I've not smelt those iterations. What have you, as you delve into your sack, suggestively, what have you got?
Well, I've got two things. I'm going to start with this, which again, something you've smelled before. Savitri from Prin, and I
really want to smell this.
Not a million miles away, I would say, from the Mandarava, but maybe slightly drier. Maybe I find this maybe a little bit more sanitized somehow.
So it's really, I get big limey vibes.
Like a big cafe lime.
It's interesting. The other day, almost bought today, but I didn't bring, was Ensemble Chypre by Sultan Pasha, which is absolutely incredible. And this really reminds me of it. A slightly limey, green mandarin floral Chypre, but with incense, like quite incensey vibes as well. Not sparkling incense.
No.
I mean, if you smell like...
resinous stuff.
If you smell like incense, essential oils, or if you were to just dissolve the resin in alcohol, it doesn't smell like a sparkling incense, like a la Timbuktu or Mark Buxton. It's slightly citrusy and slightly green, and that's what I get here. It's
much greener than the sort of out and out white florals of something like Mandarava, but then the champaca starts creeping in underneath on skin, and the rose in the opening as well.
There's already sweet, complex, rich florals swimming in there.
It's quite interesting, isn't it?
It's fucking good.
I'm a big fan of Prin.
Really fucking good.
There are two Prins in this little selection, but it's because I've been re-evaluating him, and I've been wearing the Turkish leather again. I've been wearing Mora again.
And we said, as I said at the beginning, one of my, looking back on our videos, the one regret I had was that I did we did this video and I felt I needed to be too critical of him, whereas I should have just been honest. That is magic.
Isn't that good?
That's really magic, and I would love to wear it on skin because I know there's loads going on.
There's a lot. I mean, that's the thing. And I mean, the note breakdown is the most unromanticized thing, but you've got champaca, rose, lime, big lime there, civet, aldehyde, cumin, incense, oak moss, patchouli, and I'm sure there's a load more going on in there that I'm not picking up. But I think it's a really beautiful thing, and you can listen to the opera Savitri by Holst while you're wearing it. And
interesting pairing. That's not what I get from the opera.
No, no.
Something completely different. A fragrance by Prin Lomrock. But it is quite a different fragrance. So this is Varuek. So this is in our being crystal phrase. This is one of the fragrances which we reviewed and he gave to us. And so I was probably more overly critical of it. So this means basically the wolf, I think. And it does exactly what it says on the tin,
really?
I would say.
Is it made from bits of real wolf?
So it's a big, dark, woody, oody, castorum-y, slightly birchy.
It's like chocolate anus. Do you know what I mean? Like
leather.
The animalic, but then the slight.
It is
approachable.
Chocolatey, but I think it's a real castoreum is doing. It's got quite a big role in there, giving that slightly sweetened animalic leather, florals.
I think that's really good.
Cumin's doing quite a lot there. Incense.
But again, very round. I mean, whatever's giving that sort of slight chocolatey thing is very round. The animalic is very round behind it as well. It's not. I'm not getting sharp bursts of something fecal. I'm getting a rounded animal skin that I want to bury my nose into because it's actually very warm.
Birchiness, yeah. Slight fiery, burnt, maybe some Gaiac as well. But it's just. I think that's really good. It's it's just if I look back to Intoxicated or Tabacco Toscana, this is a very different cultural experience, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely beautiful. And I love the fact that something can be animalic and beautiful at the same time. Like once upon a time, I wouldn't have thought that could be a combination that works, but that is very elegant.
And I don't find it. I mean, it's a big bolt, but I don't find it that difficult to wear. There's some I do have some fragrances where okay, I need to really kind of judge this, and it's not
you need to wait a few hours before you leave the house.
But I love it.
That's really beautiful.
His use of cumin is good.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing, doesn't he?
One of the things I've tried, cumin is a material that sometimes I've tried to use, and that it can, even if you put it in as 0.025% of a formula, it can almost overwhelm it.
Really.
And so you have to be really kind of judicious with your use of it. And in here it just kind of. You wouldn't even say it's cumin centric, but I think it adds to that kind of warmth.
Yeah, it's just it's giving it the sort of interest in the middle of the big rounded wash of colour and wash of sound. Not sound. This
doesn't sound complimentary, but it's like a symphony of brown, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very brown.
Coffee, chocolate, woods, leather, ouds.
I think it's really beautiful. The anus it's a lovely anus. It's not an anus that's been left out.
Cedar,
it's
lovely,
just a little
lovely
warm
bits of cedar as well, kind of freshly sawn, freshly burnt,
and still quite Western. I mean, I could imagine Gerlam doing something like that in the year 1901,
maybe,
and trying to be bold. Maybe not quite that, but yeah, I think that's really good. Right, do I have? I think I may only have one more.
Well, okay.
We've got quite a lot here. Yeah, here we are. The last little beautiful.
Oh, I have not smelt this for so long.
Tank Battle from Lush. Now, speaking of patchouli and all things damp, this is my.
I was just saying I want to.
This is my king of damp, weird stuff.
Yeah, bubblegum.
Yeah. But do you get sort of bubblegum and old cave or old basement?
I just get 100% bubblegum initially.
It's a big bubblegum kick in the opening. I get a bit of banana, like those chewy banana things.
And those little yellow things.
Yeah.
Those little yellow sweets. Yeah. Bubblegum, what they call those bananas? Those little yellow banana sweets.
They don't taste of banana, but there is something of banana flavour there.
Yeah, banana flavouring.
That fake banana flavour.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
It's kind of fun. I think it's a really fun fragrance.
It is fun. It's really kind of like fairground. Fairground.
Yeah. And this was made. I can't remember when this was made, but it's quite an old bottle. And I love the dry down of this.
So where's it go? I mean, I'm so dominated by bubblegum. I don't know where it's going to go.
Well, on me, it starts to go into almost a soil accord, like that petrichor.
Yeah.
Like slightly damp. Well, I get a sort of damp soil. It goes a little bit vegetal, like some slightly dank basement. But you're chewing some bubblegum while you're down there, so it's not quite so scary.
I can't get past the bubblegum.
See how it is in a little while. Take it with us when we go, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
It's a fun one to include, though.
I love it. It's just I wore it the other day. And I thought this is a very cheeky little thing.
From your Bon Monsieur and your Rive Gauche.
Yeah, it's the polar opposite. This is when I want to feel in touch with my youth again.
Yeah,
playful, something like that. Silly. Yeah, I've got a few bubblegummy things at home. I've got bubblegum and cigarettes from Eldo.
Oh yeah, gosh.
Breath of God can be quite bubblegummy sometimes. Yeah. I find
bubblegum and bacon.
Yeah, it's a weird combo. I've got that in my bag actually. I just have that all the time, but I've not included it here. But I love that stuff, and I love the weirdness of it. I think it was quite a brave thing to make.
Yeah, for them to do. Yeah, they've done some. I was saying, I would love to. If people know about some of the recent Lush releases, let me know.
Yeah, we need to explore them again a bit more.
Something I don't know if you've smelt, which is.
No, I have never smelt this. I'm very keen to.
Francesca Bianchi. So this was. So she sent us, or she sent me, to give to us samples of this. I don't think I ever ended up sharing it with you.
I've never tried these.
But I smelt the sample and I thought, yes, love it, want it.
And she's a great
perfume. And what is really nice as well, that her prices have not gone silly. So I just want to check what I've written.
And she'd be justified.
This is €98 for a 30ml, which it's an X-ray, and so for a niche perfume, that's really not too bad.
No, absolutely.
And you do
instantly. Again, I've said this before. Instantly recognisable as Francesca.
There's that slight orosy, powdery leatheriness, which is.
But it's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Already the leather is starting to peek through with a quite serious nature, but then there's this slight sweetness in the amber
there is of the amber core, and also so the myrrh in this.
That's lovely and
there's
inviting.
Something about there's myrrh in it which is slightly bitter and sinister.
Let me smell it again.
There's just a little bit of edge. There's also just like a subtle kind of floral quality to this, just gently floral. Not, I think it might be geranium.
That's like a much nicer, smoother version of the original Calvin Klein Obsession for men.
Okay.
Just in terms of the slight sweetness that I'm getting in the amber there. But the leather as well, like the slight maybe cinnamon or something.
Yeah, definitely. There is definitely
poking out.
Yeah, I see what you mean actually. Now when you say that, yeah.
It's a different league. This is a different league of perfume as far as I'm concerned.
But I find it
so inviting,
a really rewarding shapeshifter when I wear it. Sometimes
it is. Yeah.
Sometimes it goes quite bitter. Sometimes it goes quite leathery. Sometimes it goes quite soft and fluffy and kind of easy wearing. But I find it really sexy, really inviting. It's a real nice evening-y scent as well.
It's really sexy, massively sexy.
Really sexy. I mean, as you'd expect.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
Francesca.
Yeah.
We salute
you.
That is beautiful. That's so inviting. If I was wearing that, I would invite myself to dinner.
It's inviting in some ways. It's quite kind of accessible and easy wearing, but it's also rewarding to wear, I think.
Yeah. And the quality shines through immediately.
A real kind of journey.
Yeah, the quality just shines through immediately.
It doesn't smell like a designer fragrance, does it?
No, not at all. Not at all. Oh, fantastic. I've been looking at her stuff recently online and thinking I need to get some. Oh, that is fantastic.
Well, I quite liked her Novella one. I didn't love her musk one, and then there was an Oud one which I didn't really like that much. But this one, big fan of.
Byzantine amber. I can't speak.
Yeah,
bloody good, really good. I want to pick up Under My Skin.
I mean, Under My
That's
Skin.
Something I think is just amazing.
Yeah, it's really, really incredible. Be interesting to see. I don't know if I think I heard it's been slightly reformulated because I think she may have used some real animalics before. Maybe the castoreum was real when she first did it, and I'm not sure. So maybe if people can watch this, they can. I
mean, I hope she is still doing the same thing that she did. It's sad, isn't it? Like in life when things change and things
do change in life.
But something amazing has been made and then someone goes, oh, you can't use that.
Well, that's why we're chasing all these kind of niche things, because they're recreating what some of the vintage things used to do. Like you can't buy your Rive Gauche anymore, so you buy your Monsieur.
Do you ever worry about buying old stuff and thinking
it's going to be absolute turd?
Well, no, not necessarily that, but that if some ingredient is banned for a good reason,
I might give myself cancer.
Yeah, because I mean it's a fear, isn't it? Like if you're constantly wearing.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm sure it's.
Get hit by a bus.
Imagine being hit by a bus and then not smelling good.
Yeah, exactly.
When you get taken to the ER.
Yeah.
No, I think we've got a nice little collection there.
Have you got more? I've got.
I have no more. I mean, that's.
Shall I just? I'll just chat.
I'll
just chat through a few things.
Yeah.
Vol de Nuit.
Oh, masterpiece.
By Guerlain. So this is one of the old B bottles.
We have not included a Guerlain yet.
Well, I know.
That seems crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I've not. So obviously this has been reformulated and rebottled recently. Now, lots of people have said that Jerry Vassar, his a lot of his reformulations are very good. So I would like to smell.
He is a master perfumer, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He's really top notch.
This is one I came to quite late. Well, certainly when we did our top, whatever it is, 26 Guerlain, we didn't include this, and I didn't have it. But it's almost one of my one of my favourites. It's such. So this is 1933. So it's Jean-Paul Guerlain. So it's called Night Flight after the book volume about who's the name of the American woman? Well, it's inspired by the American woman who flew around the world. What's her name? Everyone will know when they're watching this. Is it Amelia
Earhart?
Is that what I mean?
Who went missing?
Yes, I think so.
She went missing, didn't she?
Anyway, it might be about. Anyway, it's about a kind of a night flight and
not Amelia Earhart. That's an actress, isn't it?
Yeah. Who you were? But
Amelia.
I'll write it down here. I mean, we'll
I've got too many Amelias in my head.
Everyone's going to be shouting it at the screen. But anyway, it's
not Callista Flockhart before you ask.
But this is there's such Guerlainade. It's kind of classic, It's basically Jicky with some galbanum. I think there's some and a bit more floral.
I totally get that. It's amazing how, compared to some of these things, how subtle and elegant that is again. I think I smell something and think, oh, that's so elegant. And then you smell Guerlain and you're like,
super elegant.
That's another level of sophistication.
But I said to you, like, when I've been playing around trying to do my kind of make imitation Shalimar and Jickeys, the key is just absolutely tons of bergamot, and I mean 30% bergamot.
Really?
And it just adds a kind of finesse to everything.
Like a sheen.
Yes. And whereas in most modern fragrances you get loads of isocypre and hedione, which kind of add a bit of kind of finesse thing, they kind of round things out. Guerlain use bergamot to do that. And it's but when you wear it, there's such complexity. The other thing you learn about Guerlain is that all the fragrances have loads of bases in them, so they've just got millions of materials going into them, which is what means you just have this utter complexity.
Yeah. So how someone does that in a masterful way is pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's inspiring. Because how does someone put that much into a perfume? And before the days of being able to compute formulas and things, someone would know precisely what would make it work.
But I really feel this is a sort of slightly tweaked version of Jicky.
Yeah, with the galbanum.
Yeah, with the galbanum, the lavender taken down, and
it's not as pissy. It's not.
No, it's not. It's not.
It doesn't
and
have
more
that slight
sheep-free in the
pissy
base.
animatic.
But I feel like the Guerlainade heart is exactly the same.
And this is the modern formulation as well, so that's saying something, isn't it?
Well, modernish. I don't know how this bottle's maybe 20 years old. I mean, I love these. They're just the.
So that's not Vassar.
No.
And of course it's not, because they've all been.
It's now in a bottle which looks like the Mutsuko.
Yeah.
But I just think I don't think they make these bottles unless you go to the boutique.
I've only got two of those bottles, one of which is Mouchoir. I think I've got another bottle with something.
Lovely. Absolutely love it.
Samsara or something. No, Samsara.
Shall I just whip through my last few? Got a couple of classic vintage bangers here.
Oh, thanks, mate. That's a lovely gift. That's really kind.
Balenciaga Hohang Club. This is
where did you put that?
This is so this is one when we Rich Mitch sent us a sample of this, and I thought, look it up. I bet you can't find it. And I went on eBay, and there were loads of them. I'm just trying to think who the perfumer is. It's someone I'd not really heard of. I wrote it down.
Isn't that good?
And
now, is this an EDT? Oh, it's an aftershave, but
it's an aftershave atomizer, but it's just totally peak kind of 80s
perfect
aromatic fougere, lots of coriander seed and wormwood, kind of in the mid juniper, giving that kind of green herbaceous. It's just if you want,
and it's purring as well.
Yeah, it's purring.
It's a purring engine.
It's got snarl. It's got engine oil.
Yeah,
a hint of engine oil.
But it's not loud. I find it still very elegant and smooth.
It's soft and it's round and it's sophisticated. I'm sure I made some notes on this and I've lost them all. Never mind. Gentle kind of fruitiness. It's just it's like really hairy chested, medallion wearing, engine fuel, but kind of refined and gentleman's clubby as well.
Yeah, I mean that you would comfortably wear that with a sort of suit and tie out to dinner, wouldn't you?
I mean, it's just for
what that's the aftershave concentration.
Yeah.
I mean, that's saying a lot because that to me, even without putting it on skin, that to me is already hugely complex and
gentle kind
and
of
multi-layered.
sweetness as well, just softening that kind of grit and grind to it.
I tell you, I mean, sorry, I didn't spit on you there. I reckon that would have benefited from a few years in the bottle.
Quite
Just sort of
yeah.
macerating.
But you can, because I thought, look it up, it's going to be £8 million. Actually, these things do crop up. I think I paid about £25 for it.
That's amazing.
So
on eBay.
Have a look. I'll just whip through these.
That's really good.
Something else, totally over the top, and
yes.
I mean, this is another one. So this is
I've
still
got
in
this
production.
now, finally.
And this you can get for about £18.
Beauty Base in
Mill.
Shepherd's Bush. They sell this.
This is Martin Gras, or maybe I'm not sure his name. And he did Ceruti 17. What is it?
1881.
Yeah. And
that was one of my signatures in my first year.
And this is
university.
another. It's kind of in a sort of similar vein, but it's also got this fruity, like big fruity kind of pineapple fresh. It's a bit more ziggy and bright. It's a bit all over the place, isn't it?
But I tell you what, that is an approachable beast.
Yeah.
That's a beast behind that sort of slightly fruity opening. That is an animalic sort of chest medallion.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Beast of a brain.
It's big. It's even more. I would say it's bigger and more macho than the Hohem Cup, actually.
That's your sort of tropical shirt medallion, whereas the Hohem is your sort of
strangely wearable. I mean, this is one I have to say. I do feel a little bit self-conscious. If I was going out somewhere, I knew I was going to be really, really close with people, I wouldn't necessarily wear this one. But if I was just like going out on a more normal day, I would go for it and embrace it.
Yeah, a Saturday in the park or something.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic.
Kind of ridiculous, but
I think one of the best value things you're going to find out there today.
And just one more, and I'll put it in almost every video we do, but
it sounds nice.
But it's just probably my favourite fragrance of my probably my favourite perfumer, and every time I smell it, I think, oh gosh, it's just so.
This is an absolute masterpiece.
Chypre Palatin by MDCI. It's just, I mean, this is £235 for 100ml EDP, which sounds, I mean, it is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but like, it makes me so
But it's a lifetime's wearing, isn't it? Relatively.
Yeah, I mean, I've made this last quite well, and this is real special occasions one for me, if like special friends' birthdays. I think I wore this on Christmas Day last Christmas. It's just the perfect cheaper. And it's when we were out perfume shopping the other day, I kind of smelt this in Jovoy, even though I owned it. And amongst everything, you think, oh, actually, this is amazing. And
it's another level.
It's for me. It's obviously like there's a real massive vintage nod, but it doesn't feel.
But it's not dated in any way, is it?
No, it's not. It's not dated.
The best of the past.
And it's amazing how much. It's so fruity, actually. I find it's so fruity, and it's just that fruitiness is just tempered by bitterness, because it could easily go sickly sweet. I think it's almost on the cusp of sickly sweet. It
straddles perfectly in the middle, doesn't it? Like a plane coming into land. Yeah. It just doesn't dip either wings too far in the wrong direction. Oh, I think that's amazing. I mean,
it really is.
The only thing, and this will sound silly, the only thing that has stopped me buying this so far is that I can't navigate the website.
The website is rubbish.
I just find it so.
But the thing is,
it's like it was designed in 1996.
When you go on the website, it looks really expensive, and you get so many freebies because they give you loads of samples. So,
like big, we're talking big, sort of 10ml bottles, aren't we?
Well, they're quite. I don't know, maybe they're 5ml, but they're good. So it's definitely worth buying from MDCI website rather than where we mail. But I love it.
I think that's absolutely incredible.
Amazing. So that's what we've been smelling and wearing.
Yeah.
And enjoying. Tell us what
do you have a favourite out of all of these so far from today?
Favourite? I mean,
is that an impossible question?
I mean, as I said, I love Chypre Palatin. I mean, there are other. It's difficult because there are other.
I think that's
something like the Oud Maximus like moves me and transports me, and same with Animal Cafe. But if I were to save one, it would probably be Chypre Palatin. Yeah. How about you?
I think it would have to be the Mandarava.
Really? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's it.
That's my escape. That's my that's
totally.
my
That's
time
it's
travel.
the most like, in many ways, it's the most kind of wow out of all of those. But yeah.
But I still have a soft spot for. You're still getting bubblegum. Is it? Have you gone into the sort of damp basement yet?
Oh, actually, no. Yeah, no. I know. I'm getting it. Especially interesting because this is Super Palatine, which is quite fruity.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of taking the sweetness away from that, and I am getting that kind of damp.
Look at the colour of it.
Yeah, it is pleasing. Yeah.
I love dark juice like that. I think it's why I love Coca-Cola.
Right.
And
Lovely.
And it's good.
Also,
for you
tell us, what we should explore next.
Yeah, chuck suggestions our way. The more obscure, the better. Although, actually, maybe not. If there's some,
or not,
some
like,
designer things that you're seeing on the high street that you
we
think
were
are
saying
amazing.
like Lush or Zara, some of the Jovoy Zara fragrances. If there are any good ones,
that coffee
there.
is amazing. Sorry, but I have to smell that again. Yeah, I think I mean, I was in Boots a couple of days back, and I smelt the new 3 Dior Homme iterations.
Give me
so the Dior Homme Intense I really enjoyed, and it didn't smell a million miles away from the original.
Should we do a Dior Homme?
Oh, that's right. This is the parfum. Now the Dior Homme parfum I love, and I think that's a really beautiful thing. This thing I think has gone into a slightly more mainstream. I've not sprayed it from this yet. I've only sprayed it in the shop from the bottle. But a few months ago they had the boy toy, the Moschino.
Moschino, toy, but yeah.
And that was really good.
Actually, I would.
But it doesn't seem to be in Boots anymore, but they had it in my local Boots in High Street Ken.
I mean, obviously, like the lipsticky Eris DNA is totally there, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't smell a million miles away from what I remember, but
it does smell good.
I think they've gone into a slightly more popular territory. But it's well made, isn't it? It's well
good.
put together.
I don't know, the kind of citrusiness of it. There's this kind of, I felt in everything, in all modern designer fragrances which have any kind of citrusy note, there's now a kind of all-pervasive grapefruit which seems to be coming in.
Yeah. Because it has such an initial impact.
A little bit flatter as well. Like,
yeah, it's not inviting me in the same way that it did once upon a time.
Anyway, maybe we'll devote more time to it.
We'll do another video.
Anyway, it's been lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you, yeah. And look, it's only been an hour and 27 minutes, so that's short little. All our videos from now on are going to be at least 4 hours, so we're just preparing you in advance.
We might do some more music and.
We should do that, shouldn't we? Yeah.
Anyway, till next time.
Bye.
Happy sniffing.